Hi everyone, very good morning. How are you doing? How was the weekend? Did you start solving questions, solving a odd one out, para parasymmetry questions? Are you solving reading comprehensions? If not, start solving them. Um, whatever test series you're using or whatever resource which you have, preferably online resource. And if you are looking for a better resource, or if you are not happy with the kind of uh, that you're using in terms of your question papers, your test series, sectional tests, and topic wise tests, try Unacademy app. Try and subscribe to un Academy. The pricing is most amazing, and the is of really high quality. So let's start today's class. Yeah, today, like every Tuesday, we began our day, and at 9 a.m. we'll try and solve actual CAT questions, odd one out, which have appeared in CAT over past couple of years. Um Also, we come every day 9 a.m. We come every day at 2 p.m. Tuesday to Friday. From next week onwards, the plan is that we will be doing it from Monday to Friday. Then one weekend class, one Sunday class, as I do on the app. That will continue. Maybe the timing of that class will increase from 1 to 2, or there'll be two classes on a Sunday, or maybe a special class somewhere else in the week as well. Also, there are some discussions going on change of timing of these classes, like 9 a.m. and 2 p.m. might not work out because a lot of people are not joining in. Um, so please let us know what timings would you like for us to come to change the timings if you would like to join live, which are doing live for you people. So let us know the timing and the days in which you are comfortable. Also, one more point is that analysis of reading comprehension and of your VA questions. If you people are doing it, solving questions, and you are analyzing your mistakes, then definitely your scores will improve. So my name is Anupam. I have more than 3 years of work experience in training candidates in CAT and creating verbal ability questions for various clients. Um, I have taught for other management entrances, but CAT has been the main key skill set which I have as of now. On Academy app, please to stay in touch, to get amazing content, to get access to doubt solving classes, to get access to the ability to interact with an educator, your ability to get access to so many topic wise tests and section wise tests and test series and their solutions. Download an Academy app and install it. And even I'm trying to come on the plus classes very soon. And apart from that, you get a lot of free live special classes on the app, and you get quizzes also, which are free of cost, like the YouTube. So you can use our YouTube channels, and you can use those free classes. But again, to get access to privileged content, the test series part, the sectional test, the topic wise test, you need to subscribe. So plus cat subscribe, and then these are the 5 options in front of you. Anything more than 12 months makes sense. If you look at the pricing, it's the most amazing pricing: 15,750 for 12 months and 18,900 for 24 months after using the course Saxena 10. So use the code and use this codes and sort of try and get that amazing sounds. And if you look at the pricing from the kind of things which we are offering, the kind of subsidies we're offering, the quality which we're most amazing pricing. Fees, compared to coaching fees where you give an offline classroom program, if you compare this, the kind of material which we're giving is cannot be compared to that. I've seen that in the industry from both the sides, as a trainer, as a content developer, as a classroom faculty, now as an online faculty. This is mind blowing. Okay, so yes, let me just see whether it's coming all right or not. Sorry. Okay. Fine. Odd one out. Yeah. So what is odd one out? Odd one out is nothing but it is para summary, para sorry, it is same as para formation. Jumbled paragraph. It is same as jumbled paragraph or para jumbles or para. What you have to do is, if you remember our para formation questions, what used to happen that we used to read the, remember that if you go to our old classes like 2 weeks back, we were doing it an entire series for 4 days. We read the paragraph, understand the mandatory pairs, all right, and we are arrange them, and we read them, and we think of it as a flow of ideas. We uh, understand the central idea, the primary purpose, how all pairs can be formed. Pairs can be formed on noun pronoun connection. They can be formed on proper noun, common noun connection between two lines. They can be formed on the basis that two lines are contrary to each other. Hence, second line has has an adverb which is which shows that there is some sort of a contradiction, or there is some sort of a there's some sort of conclusion happening. So in that way we sort of understood how all we can in the paragraph formation, how can we arrange these sentences. Similarly, in odd one out, what happens is that you have to, if you can arrange the sentences and you can form a paragraph, because you'll be given 5 sentences in odd one out. So if you can pick out 4 which can be arranged, in a proper sequence, then fifth one is your odd one out. It is your answer. But even if you're not able to arrange the sentences, it is all right, because your job is not to arrange, right? The job, what you will be marked for, what they're looking for is that can the candidate, after reading the paragraph, can he or she tell that a particular line which looks part of the paragraph is actually not part of the paragraph. It is not talking about the central idea or the primary purpose of the paragraph. It is talking about something else. So the central idea and the primary purpose understanding of the paragraph is very, very important. Sometimes the words used in the entire paragraph will also be used in the odd one out sentence. It will look like a part of the actual paragraph only, but it will not. And if you can try and arrange the the sentences which are the left out ones, which are actually part of one paragraph, then there is nothing like it. You have sort of gone to another level of awareness and knowledge. But still, let's try and do it that way. Again, how do we manage this? We manage this by solving more and more questions, odd one out, para summary, para jumbles, question every day. Your confidence will improve. And on the other hand, you have to also solve RCs. Also, you have to try and read summaries, try and read articles and editorials of variety of genres, and make their summaries. This is a question which we are going to discuss first, that which is what is the odd one. This is again a cat question. So water that made up ancient lakes and perhaps an ocean was lost. The water that made up ancient lakes and perhaps ocean was lost. Talking about water that was lost, and the water which made up ancient lakes and an ocean. Second says, so this will be not the first sentence. If at all this first line will come up somewhere, it will be a follow-up to one more. It will be after one. So it says the water. That means it is referring to the here is a sort of it is relating to, if it is part of this paragraph, then there will be somewhere a mention of water somewhere in a line, the line earlier to it. We have to look for whether we find the connection of this kind of a knot. Second says, particles from the sun collided with the molecules in the atmosphere, knocking them into space or giving them an electric charge that caused them to be swept away by solar winds. Particles from the sun collided with molecules in the atmosphere, knocked them into space or giving them electric charge that caused them to be swept away by the solar wind. Third is, most of the planet's remaining water is now frozen or buried, but clues over the past decade suggest that it says that most of the planets. So if you read two was actually explaining how molecules of water or molecules of something, we don't know about what it is, but they were lost or they were taken away by the solar wind. Okay, can be water, we don't know. Next comes, most of the planets will refer to some planet, right? Planet's water remaining is now frozen or buried. So water is there, but it's frozen or buried. One says what? Water is lost. Okay, most of the planet's water is frozen or buried, but clues over the past decade suggest that some liquid water, a presumed necessity for life, might survive in underground aquifers. It's saying that water is frozen or buried, but water is not lost. And at the same time, liquid water may also be present, and that will be present in the underground aquifers. So underground aquifers are like, so what happens that in the, if you read the earth sciences, you will find that it's simple. In geography also it was taught to us, if I remember. What happens that below earth, in certain areas, certain structures somewhere. There's a tunnel, or there's something of that sort, or there's a small pond. There is water inside. Water is present in form of a pond, or in form of a, say, there's a small stream flowing. So water sometimes is present in those forms, in those aquifers, those small, say, small uh, water sections are present in the earth system. They are not like, it's not like there is water brimming. There will be small water bodies are present. So even on earth it happens. And in fact, if say in Bangalore, then these look at these water tankers which go around and they supply water to various they actually take out water from such aquifers. They somehow they test whether they, because of the drilling happening across the city, they get to know that which plot or which area has water, and then they sort of put a well, and then they extract water from there, and they sell it to us, water tankers. We don't use for drinking purpose, but it's used for bathing and for washing our houses and washing for that. Next point is that okay. Next says that the data from NASA's Maven orbiter show that solar storms stripped away most of Mars' once thick atmosphere. This is talking about Mars. So data from NASA's, so now this is solar storms. Solar storms. Now this if you read line number 4, data from NASA's Maven orbiter show that solar storms stripped away most of the Mars' once thick atmosphere. You will immediately relate to 2, because 2 said that particles from the sun collided with the molecules in the atmosphere. Which atmosphere? Atmosphere of, referring to Mars' once thick atmosphere, knocking them into space or giving them an electric charge that caused them to be swept away by the solar wind. So solar winds, solar storms, 4 and 2 are a absolute connection. So 4 and 2 are there. 4 and 2 are not the odd one out. Right. 5 says a recent study reveals how Mars lost much of its early water, while another indicates that some liquid water remains. So if you look at this, so this is again talking about, so the entire piece is talking about two lines, that the atmosphere was stripped away from Mars because of the solar storms, 4 and 2, and then 3 and 5 talking about that how, so 5 was talking about Mars. 3 says most of the planets, that means referring to Mars. Same thing, lost much of its early water, while another indicates that some liquid water remains. And 3 and 5 are saying one and only thing. The only thing which doesn't make sense here is that the water that made up ancient lakes and perhaps an ocean lost. This basically the central idea of the entire whatever we were discussing here, the central idea was that there's a study happening that Mars, whatever Mars water mass had, that has been lost, but it is much of it, early water has been known, but some water remains, liquid water remains in in aquifers, and it is also frozen or buried. And there is this orbiter thing, that data from NASA's Maven orbiter shows that solar storms stripped away most of Mars once hit atmosphere, and 2 says that particles from the sun collided with the, so this is explaining. 4 is talking about it, 2 is explaining in detail. Again, 5 mentions the idea and 3 gives us more information. So we know that 5 3 and 4 2 are a pair. 1 is something which is not forming a pair, the water that made up ancient lakes and perhaps an ocean was possible. Also, one more thing, that it is talking about so one is in a way saying that there is no water anywhere. Also, what happens that you have to understand that they are not looking for creative writing program here. This particular test will test you whether you have verbal reasoning skills. So odd one out is a very reasoning oriented section, I'm telling you this. In para summary, in para jumble, still somewhere, you know, things can work out if you can form a flow of the sentence and you can find pairs. But odd one out is a very reasoning oriented topic here. What happens is that the primary idea, the central idea or the primary purpose of the passage has to be kept in mind. What is the primary purpose of the passage here? The primary purpose of the passage is to talk about the impact the sun, the solar winds had on the atmosphere, and that in spite of losing water, a lot of water, still some water remains in. And this is with respect to a study. So basically the primary purpose is that to mention a study, right? And the NASA's Maven mission, Maven orbital mission. Now this is what happens, that these paragraphs are very connected with a lot of cohesion. There is a lot of connection between them. These articles, they cannot be very you can say very liquid in form, or they cannot be very disparate in nature. The idea has to be very connected. All the sentences which are part of the paragraph, they should be amazingly connected to each other. There is no doubt that there will be any lack of cohesion in the entire paragraph at all. So for that reason, one doesn't gel up with any part of it. It happens to be an sentence which doesn't fit in with anyone anywhere else. Next question comes again, five sentences. Try and remember that whatever we discussed, that we have to find the central idea and the primary purpose, and we also have to get the thing that which one of it doesn't fall in that central idea and the primary purpose, and doesn't form a pair with the rest of the sentences. First says, neuroscientists have begun studying exercises impact within the brain cells on the genes themselves. In that they have begun studying the exercises impact within the brain cells on the genes themselves. Effect of exercise on human brain cells on genes. Even there in the roots of our biology, they have found signs of the bodies in influence on the mind. Even there in the roots of our, so there is roots of our biology, which are the genes. There somewhere they have found body's influence on the mind. So they're talking about the impact of exercise on mind and brain cells. So this somewhere has a connection. Also they're talking about genes, right? So genes are what? Genes are the roots of our biology, right? So so even you find there's a connection between 1 and 2 in terms of this. There is some connection between the gene. It's a common noun and a phrase referring to those genes, the roots of our biology. So there's a connection. 3 says, it turns out that moving our muscles produces proteins that travel through bloodstream into the brain, where they play pivotal roles in the mechanisms of our highest thought process. So it says that when you move our muscles, some proteins are released into the bloodstream, and they play an important role in the mechanism of our highest thought processes. So exercise impacts on brain cells. Exercise body's impact on mind. If we move our muscles, then proteins go to our mind, and these sort of have an impact on our thought processes. So this is all connected. Same central idea, same primary purpose. Primary purpose is to talk about the effect of exercise on mind or brain cell, right? Central idea that exercising has a positive effect on our mind, on our genes. 4 says, in today's technology driven plasma screened world. Now, don't you think that this is a little different from the first line itself? Don't you think it's a little different? In today's technology driven plasma screening world, it is easy to forget that we are born movers, animals. In fact, because we have engineered movement right out of our lives. Was this if, sorry, my bad. Now there is an this 4th line is talking about that it is talking about technology. It is talking about the touch screen culture which we have right now on our phones, on our laptops, and then it is talking about that. It is talking about that we are born movers. We have forgotten about it, and we have engineered movement out of our lives. Yeah, it is talking about that exercise or fitness or movement has been phased out of our lives. But what were the three core sentenences talking about. Three sentences which we have found them to be connected thus far. What they were talking about? They were talking, the primary purpose was, remember the primary purpose? Connection between the exercise and the and exercise in mind. Also, there is a positive impact from the vitamin standpoint, from the genes, from the impact which exercise has on our genes. There is an absolute positive impact happening. That is what of exercise on the mind. So this was the central idea which was coming out. This was a primary purpose. It does not sink in with the idea that we have we have forgotten that we are born movers, we are actually animals, and we have engineered it right out of our lives. This, so see, in a short paragraph, this line can be part of a all these lines can be part of a very long reading comprehension, wherein first they mention that we have stopped moving out, and in the fourth, fifth paragraph they talk about that there is some research happening in the field of neuroscience. But can these four lines be part of one single paragraph? Because a paragraph will be having, remember, in a paragraph there has to be a unity of idea. There has to be a single central idea and a single primary purpose. If there is no unity among them, the ideas are running in 11 in n number of directions, then definitely it gives you a clue that something is not right here. 5 says it is only in past few years that neuroscientists have begun to describe these factors and how they work, and each new discovery adds awe-inspiring depth to the. It says that 5 says that it is not only that it is only in past few years that neuroscientists, again, the neuroscientist, the factors, and past few years corresponds to what one we say that neuroscientists have just begun studying. 5 says it is only in past few years that neuroscientists have begun to understand these factors. What factors? Factors which were mentioned in line number 3, right? Or whatever, if you can stand the reach of the pronoun these, if you see that exercise impact on brain cells, on genes, and they have found the science of body's influence on mind, and moving our muscles produces protein that travel through bloodstream and into the brain, and where they play pivotal roles in the mechanisms of our highest thought processes. So somewhere there is a connection. But fourth is talking about something else. It is completely not in sync with the overall unity of the ideas given in this particular. If you look at in today's technology driven plasma screen world, it's easy to forget that we are born movers, animals, in fact, because we have engineered movement right out. You see how the screen is coming. There is some here, I think, that better now. So like we've discussed that fourth one is not is not uh, uh, is our answer is it's not odd one out. So uh, one more way to look at this problem can be that like I said that you can form pairs here. You can form a sequence. You can solve the parajumble question which has not been asked here in this particular question. So how can you solve it? See, 1 and 2 are related because 2 was talking about roots of biology and 1 had mentioned genes, right? They have found science of body's influence on mind given in line number 2 refers to the neuroscientist in 1. Then it says that okay, then it says that then we can come to line number 3 that it turns out that um, uh, moving our muscles produces protein that travel through bloodstream into the brain, and they play vital role in the mechanism of our highest thought processes. It comes fifth. It is only in the past few years that neuroscientists have begun to describe these factors and how they work. Each new discovery adds awe-inspiring depth to them. 1, 2, 3, and comes 5. Both is odd one out. Right? Let's go to the next. Next is that people who study children's language spend a lot of time watching how babies react to they hear around them. Is that people who study children's language spend a lot of time watching how babies react to speech when they hear around them. Talking about children's language and how they react to the speech. Second says they make films of adult and babies interacting and examine them very carefully to see whether the babies show any signs of understanding what adults say. They say that they make film, so they can also refer to people, okay? And make film. Also, you see reaction to speech and adults and babies trying to have a communication, and babies show signs of understanding what adults say. Don't you think this is a connection somewhere, that 1 and 2 or somewhere is a connection somewhere? Happens to be a connection. Third says they believe that babies begin to react to language from the very moment they are born. They begin to react to language from the very moment they are born, right? Reaction to language, right, from the moment they are born. Now the entire, so if you read these two lines, they're talking about the children's language. What is their reaction, how they are talking to the adults, or whether you know that whether babies are trying to what is the understanding from a communication standpoint. But 3 is little different. It says that babies react to the language from the moment they believe that babies begin to react to language from the moment they are born. Also, don't you think that this is a little different tone coming to it? We were talking about the children's language. What is a connection? How babies and grown-ups they uh, interact? What is how the children's language uh, improves? How it is done? It never talked about how that language, how kids react to language. This was nowhere mentioned. Um, However, it was said that they start doing research, examine very carefully that whether babies show any signs of understanding what adults have to say. Achha, one more thing. If they carefully uh, examine very carefully how babies show any signs of understanding what adults say, if they completely are, if they're doing it so much, why will they believe? They believe that babies begin to react to language. This is again a contradiction. If they are so sure, if they have done this research and if they have a complete understanding, why will they try and look for any signs of babies trying to understand what adults say? Right? There is contradiction of idea. If 3 is true, then 2 is not, and if 2 is true, then 3 is not. So there will be something, and we'll see how, if there is any other line referring to 3 or to 2. If you find any one of these lines connecting to 2, then or 3, we have to eliminate either of the 2. And 4 says that sometimes the signs are very subtle. Slight movements of babies' eyes or heads or hands. The signs are subtle. Signs was mentioned where in line number 2, which says that if you leave line number 2, option number 2, it says any signs of understanding what adults say. Any signs of understanding what adults say. Fourth says that sometimes the signs are very subtle. Slight movement of baby's eyes or heads or hands. So it is talking about children's language in terms of movement of eyes, head or hands. 5 says you would never notice them if you were just sitting with the child, but by watching a recording all over. So again, these subtle movements connect to 5. You would never notice them if you were just sitting with a child, but by watching a recording over and over again, you can spot. Again, there's a connection between, clear connection between 2, 4, and 5. 2 says about that films are made to see the signs. 4 says signs are very, very subtle. 5 says that you will never notice them if you were just sitting with the child, but by watching a recording over and over again. And so 3 says that they believe that babies react to language from the very moment they want. Now, one more thing is that what is the central idea? The central idea is to talk about how people who study children's language, how do they do that? Okay, so they were filming it. Then they were looking for the signs which are very, very subtle, and then you see that they said that you will see them only if you watch the recording over and over again. and you will not notice them if you were sitting with the these uh, these points are amazingly they are connecting, and two and line number three is not. These are also talking about reaction to language. It is not talking about the child's the child's uh, communication part. Child is communicating through eyes, movement of eyes, movement of head or the hands. This is again something which it was not referring to. We have the odd one out. 1, 2, 4, 5. There is a clear cut. Okay. So this is how it is happening. So like we discussed that we come to the first uh, part again, that if you understand this the central idea, if you understand the primary purpose of the paragraph, and if you try and arrange the sentences in a proper order, then you will be able to find which line doesn't conform to the central idea, primary purpose, or there is nothing connected to it. This is again a odd one out. So like we've discussed in here, that it's a quick revision that here everything was talking about question number one, which we discussed. Everything was talking about that there is a NASA's Maven orbital program, which has speaks about the solar storms taking away the Mars's once thick at atmosphere. Who was explaining it in detail how that was done. Then then we had five to talking about how the Mars lost much of its water, and then uh, but it says that some liquid water might remain, was explained in great detail. One was out of context. One was talking about the water that made up ancient lakes, and perhaps ocean was lost. This was not for, conforming to the unity of idea which a paragraph should. Then we were talking about the neuroscientist, okay, that have begun to understand the exercise's impact within the brain cells on genes. Then we talk about the roots of that genes. The roots of biology in line number two refers to the one. It is referring to the genes themselves. They found the science of the body's influence on mind. Then it says that it turns out that moving our muscles produces proteins that travel through the bloodstream and into the brain, where they play pivotal roles in the mechanism of our highest thought. Then so this is all connected. Then five said that it's only in past few years that that the neuroscientists have begun to describe these factors and how they work. Each new discovery adds awe-inspiring that what is awe-inspiring, wonderful, which surprises us, which amazes us, awe-inspiring depth. The fourth telling that in the technology driven world, which was never used here, plasma screen world, it is easy to forget that we are born movers and animals. In fact, because we have engineered right out of our lives, was nowhere actually. So yes, yeah. So here was just People who study children's language spend a lot of time watching how babies react to the speech here around them. Say is talking about that people who study children's language spend a lot of time watching how babies react to the speech they hear around them, looking at their reactions, how they are reacting to it, subtle uh, reactions of observing them. Who says that they make films, see whether the babies show any signs of understanding what the adult says. 4 says that the signs are subtle. What signs? Signs which you mentioned in line number 2. Signs are subtle, slight movements of the baby's eyes or heads or the head or the hands. And 5 says that you would never notice them if you were just sitting with the child, but by watching a recording over and over, you can. Right? And 3 says that so the entire 1 2 4 and 5 there's a clear connection. They are talking about the process by which or why basically why the people who study children's language they spend a lot of time in babies, because there are subtle signs and you can miss them if you are sitting with them, but if you watch them over and over again you can spot those signs. But saying that in 3, they believe that babies begin to react to language from the very moment they're born is one extreme part. Also, it is not a part of the study, right? How will the people who are studying or people who are doing the research, we are talking about the very process or why they are doing it. So it is a very specific idea. There has to be a unity in the anti-paragraph. This particular line number 3, they believe that babies began to react to the language from the very moment they're born. That is not part of the unity. Also, if you see, there is one more problem here. Did you observe? They believe that babies begin to react to the language from the moment they are born. This second day, if you read it, this is actually a grammatical problem here. Although some of us or most of us agree that second day, the moment they're born, this refers to babies, right? But the grammar faculty can also argue that they also refers to they believe the day which began in which came in the very beginning. So this also can cause something known as what they call as a dangling modifier, that you don't know this pronoun refers to which it refers to the to day which to an earlier day which was mentioned in the line as a first word of the line, or it refers to babies. That is also a point here. All right, so yeah, I hope the class was helpful. We'll try and make it more interesting, more colorful henceforth. Please subscribe to Unacademy. Go to live classes, interact with the educator, live polls, and if you subscribe to Unacademy, you get live classes, you get to interact with the educator, you get live polls and leaderboard, you get test and analysis and live doubt clearing. Also, you get a lot of free classes on the Unacademy app, which are live classes, and you get also many quizzes to improve your skills. Using the code Saxena10 will give you 10% discount. Also, if you see that I am also coming on the plus very soon, and we'll be a lot of fun. We'll be doing a lot of amazing stuff. Also, let us know in the comment section if you need anything from us. Please ask us questions when we are talking live session. We'll be very happy to answer those. questions. So see you at 2 p.m. We'll be discussing reading comprehension.